Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday morning, and I'm on my way to work, which is probably not a big surprise to anybody that's been listening because that's the only time I get to do this is to and from work. Um, but hey, I wanted to touch base this morning about an important part of each of our financial plans that is oftentimes overlooked, and it's kind of the evil stepchild of finances. One we don't pay a whole lot of attention to often, and that is the part of insurance. Specifically for today, I want to talk about life insurance. Now, life insurance is very, very important. Life insurance is a buffer between our finances and life happening. Now, don't get me wrong. In regards to life happening, we always need to have our emergency fund in place for normal life events. But in case of death, look, if we're 30 years old, there's no way we could have possibly have saved enough and prepared enough. Well, most of us haven't prepared enough in case of a death, especially if you're married and with children. Um, for instance, if something was to happen to you, God forbid, at 30 years old, is it possible that you have saved enough so that your family can live the rest of their life without your income? Probably not. Probably not. But what we can do to hedge that, and life insurance is important in every financial plan, is we can protect ourselves against that by transferring that risk into insurance. Insurance is a transfer of risk that we can't afford to take on right now. For instance, we use our credit cards as insurance. Okay, think about that for a second. A lot of us use our credit cards as insurance. What do we say? We say, I'll keep this credit card in case of an emergency, right? So an emergency, that credit card is our insurance under that emergency to ensure that we can take care of that emergency. Well, what did we do in that case? Well, we want to get an emergency fund set up so that we can quote unquote self-insure, right? But what happens if you pass away? Well, now you got to replace whatever your income level is. Let's just throw some numbers out there. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. Well, now in a family, you have to be able to replace that $50,000 a year for those that you've left behind. Well, that's a lot bigger number. Okay, this isn't something we can just save up an emergency fund. This is a large number that's going to be needed year after year after year. So what we need to do is we need to prepare with a life insurance policy that can help provide that for our families once we're gone. In case, of course, God forbid, we don't. Obviously, we all want to live to and well beyond retirement, but um, life happens sometimes. So how do we do this, and how much insurance is enough is enough insurance? Well, here's the first thing I want you to think about. We want to have an insurance policy in place that the interest alone, based on a 10% return on that money, will replace your income. Okay? Did you catch that? We want the interest alone, based on a 10% return on the money, to replace your total income every year. So with that said, if it's a $50,000 year income you're trying to replace, in this case, we're going to need a $500,000 term life insurance plan. So based on that $500,000, 10% of that is $50,000 a year. Your family will continue to get that income without ever actually touching the principal value of the policy or of that money. So you want to get 10 times your annual income in life insurance. Now, when I say life insurance, I've said it once, term life insurance. Stay away from whole life policies. We do not want to mix investments with our life insurance. It's a bad deal. Whole life insurances have terrible returns. Let's just say less returns than the market does. And a bigger problem with whole life insurance policy is they're 10 times more expensive. And when you pass away, The investment portion, you lose that. You don't get to keep that money. If you don't use that money while you're alive, the investment portion of that is gone. All that you get is the cash value of the policy itself. So if it's a $100,000 policy, you get $100,000. The $200,000 that you've invested is gone. You don't see that money. So keep that in mind. You know, where a whole life insurance and policy, and I'm throwing numbers out there, but I'm pretty certain these are really, really close because I've looked into them myself. Where a whole life insurance policy on $250,000, maybe over $100, $100 to $200, the term equivalent will be $20 to $30. So we're talking about a significant difference in price. And again, if you pass away, you don't even get to keep the investment portion of the policy. You only get the cash value. So, you know, it's a ripoff. Term life insurance is extremely cheap. If you're between 20 and 30 years old, you probably won't spend more than $20 or $30 a month on it. If you're between 30 and 40, as I am, you won't spend no more than probably $40 a month for it. I think mine is somewhere around $28, $29 a month. But for $28, $29 a month, if I can ensure the well-being of my family well after I pass, if God forbid that was to happen, well worth the money. It's well worth the money. Not only does it help give your family the income they need once you're gone, but in addition, and an inherent part of that is that it also keeps your family from their financial goals being compromised. That's another reason we use life insurance, is we don't want to compromise our financial goals. We're not there yet. Okay, there will become a day then where my net worth or my family's net worth will exceed the amount needed to even carry life insurance anymore. You know, when we exceed, let's just say our family income is around, and I'm just throwing this number out here, this isn't correct, but because I'm not going to tell you, but our family income, let's just say that it's $60,000. Okay. Well, once we hit $600,000 in investment, and of course we can't pull on it from our IRAs and 401k, so we're 59.5. But if we reach that number by then, and we can live off of that same amount of money through retirement, we're good to go. We're self-insured at that point. So we can drop that life insurance policy, and we're self-insured, a lot like we are with that emergency fund opposed to a credit card. Once we get to a point where we can self-insure ourselves, the life insurance is not necessary anymore. We've met our financial goal at that point, and we don't need the life insurance to protect us from missing that, for getting us off track. So again, life insurance is insurance that it helps us ensure that we reach our financial goals, that we're not derailed by some of the larger life events that can happen to us. So keep that in mind. Go look at term life insurance, get you some quotes. I'm a big proponent of Dave Ramsey and the companies that he suggests, because they're great companies and they're very easy to work with. So I'm going to suggest Sander Insurance because they give very, 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 very competitive quotes. See what you can find. But just remember, guys, we don't want to mix our insurance and our investing. We want to keep those things separate. So stay away from these whole life insurance policies. Stick with term life insurance policies, 20 or 30-year term. That means that with these policies, the payment won't change for either 20 or 30 years, whichever one you choose. Now, the monthly price on these will be a little bit different depending on whether you choose 20 or 30-year term. But the reason you're going to choose 20 or 30, the deciding factor there depends on your age and when you plan on to retire. So if you plan on retiring at 60 years old and you're 40, then you need a 20-year term. Okay. If you have, let's say you're 30 and you plan on retiring at 60, you get the point. 30-year term. You want to ensure the time that it's going to take you to meet the financial goal you need in order to become self-insured. So I hope this helps. If anybody has questions, leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to the link I'll be leaving below. Thank you, and y'all have a good day. God bless.